Welcome to the Gate 7 International Podcast, your official English source for all things Olympiacos FC and Greek football.
The first day of training is when I realized, this is why they win the league every year.
When I spoke with Kevin, if I gonna sign or no for Olympiacos, he said, you are crazy, go direct, my friend.
Να πετύχω, ήθελα να μείνω στην ιστορία του Ολυμπιακού.
I can't speak, sure.
Yeah.
Έλα μαλάκα!
Saga πάρα πολύ Piraeus. Είμαι Γάβρος πάντα, όλοι μαζί. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans. I'm your host, Costa, joined by my co-host, Labro Sirmo in Geneva. We're back again. That's 2 episodes in one day. I'm not sure we've done that before, but it's been a whirlwind of a day, ladies and gentlemen. Kalispera to those joining us from Greece as well, wherever you are in the world. Olympiakos fans everywhere. It's been a crazy day. Apparently, the whole backroom staff seems to be changing. Well, let's take things right from the top. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, if you're new, if you like what you see, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Keep up to date on everything that's going on with Olympiakos. Labro, after that, tell us, just rehash everything, man. What happened today?
Yeah, I'm already seeing so many comments come in. A lot of people active. It's a crazy day. So let's start with what we know. Let's start also on Monday. Me and Costa were shooting messages back and forth Monday morning because we're the type of idiots who look at the front page of a newspaper still. I don't know if there are many other people who do that. We saw this name. Actually, I think I messaged you, Costa, because I said De Sanctis, because it was written in Greek, and I hadn't heard the guy's name in so long. I was like, who the hell is this? You figured it out, but I had no idea. And so we read that. We said, oh, is this guy coming? Who is this guy? What does he even do?
It was a small box.
It was small. It was in the very corner.
Really small, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. It was tiny. And so we go, interesting. What is that on about? And then we get news this morning that De Sanctis, I think Morgan De Sanctis, the former goalkeeper of God knows how many teams, Italian national team, Juventus, Monaco, AS Roma, he played Napoli as well, I want to say, everywhere. Had conversations with Olympiacos and was looking positive to join the team. But the reports weren't clear what his role was. It was just De Sanctis looking to join Olympiacos. And then the bombs dropped from Italy, Di Marzio, and the guys we had on earlier from TuttoMercato dropped the news that Francois Modesto was departing Olympiacos and going to Monza. First, when I saw Monza, I saw the headline and I thought it was a cheese or something. I was a bit confused. So I Googled Monza and it was the team of Berlusconi. I'm not going to lie. I read Monza and we all know how I am with names. I thought it was a cheese. I was a bit confused. Further clarification from Google showed it was not a cheese, and the fit makes sense. Francois Modesto is going to have a lot of money to play with for this team from Lombardy that's been bought by Silvio Berlusconi, the former the prime minister of
former
Italy.
Prime Minister, former chairman of AC Milan, former MEP.
Yeah,
former Bunga host,
former good friend with Muammar Gaddafi and Vladimir Putin still. Anyway, so he's heading over there. And so we get the news and De Sanctis. Originally in the De Sanctis rumors, we should say that there was talk that how do you say it? Sabatini, Walter Sabatini, is that the first name? Walter. I'm struggling with all the names. Walter Sabatini was also in the running for the same position that Olympiacos was discussing with both of them. So as we go on, we actually broke this to you guys. We spoke with our friend from TuttoMercato, Marco, who told us Walter Sabatini is not competing with Morgan De Sanctis. They may be joining Olympiacos together. So very, very interesting stuff. So Modesto out, 1. De Sanctis looks for sure in. Now, what we don't know is Walter Sabatini, who's an extremely famous sporting director in Italy, has passed through the doors of many big clubs there, Lazio, Roma, and others, was most recently in Salernitana. He's considered one of the better sporting directors in Italy. I spoke with my Italian friends. I know you have some Italian friends, and they tell me that my Italian Roma friends said he was the best sporting director he remembers during his time, as his current time as a Roma supporter. He loves Sabatini, who's a little crazy, and so we can get into that a bit. The greatest accomplishment, almost people were saying, of Sabatini was this actual past January. There's a team called Salernitana. Sorry, the name. Salernitana. And this team sucked. They also were accused of being owned by the Lazio owner as well, dual ownership. They had a whole catastrophe, but they looked destined to go down. They had like a one win, if even a win, by January. They bring Sabatini on. They bought 12 players, and Sabatini basically saved them. They went on an incredible run at the end of the season and stayed up when people thought there was no chance. And it's really interesting because we said to Marco, we said, Olympiacos preseason's next week. And he says, he was chuckling a bit. He's like, Salernitana's season was over and they were going down. And Sabatini showed up in January 15th, bought them 10 players, constructed a squad, and saved them. And he's like, no worries about preseason starting next week. So interesting. So far, what we can say is Francois Modesto has left Olympiacos. He's going to not the cheese, Monza, the team. And
that was confirmed also by Adriano Galliani. So some of you might remember that Adriano Galliani has some links with Olympiacos already. Even his grandson, I think it's his grandson. Okay. His grandson was listed in the B team.
Still listed, technically.
Yeah, but I don't think he ever played. I think he went off to Panionios as well on loan. So there is a link there with Galliani, and I've read Galliani's quotes to the Italian press about Modesto. He's confirmed Francois Modesto is joining Monza, and he said that Monza are going to need a good technical director to ensure that Monza stays up, and that he will receive a good budget, and he has good experience from his time at Olympiacos. So it looks like he's going to be given the keys there as technical, or rather sporting director, director at Monza. We know that Modesto's role at Olympiacos the last few years has morphed, has adapted and changed from being a sporting director to a technical director to a chief scout. That's all been a little bit confusing, I found, over the years, but that's it. It looks like it's the end of an era. Francois Modesto is on his way out, and Morgan de Sanctis was in Athens the last 3 days, we've been told by sources. So he was in Athens already 3 days ago. He's had long talks with Olympiacos. Official Olympiacos have confirmed that there have been discussions with Morgan de Sanctis.
Yeah, the club has confirmed these things.
That is concrete, confirmed by the club. What is not confirmed by the club is this news. Walter Sabatini is in Athens, is expected in Athens tomorrow to interview for the job of sporting director. So let's be clear here. The news that we have from Marco Conterio, the chief editor of TuttoMercatoWeb Italy, one of the biggest sports sites in Italy. He's saying that Morgan de Sanctis will be the new general director. So that means that Lina Suluku, who's currently the general director, will focus more on the legal issues only. De Sanctis will be the general director. And Walter Sabatini is going to have a discussion about becoming the sporting director. That's the role that he has had at his previous teams as well. The reports from our exclusive interview earlier with Marco have not been confirmed yet by the club, but they've paved their way into some of the Italian and Greek media already. So we'll know more about that tomorrow. Yeah. That's pretty much the news in terms of how things have gone down, who is who. I mean, Labro talked about De Sanctis. He's a new guy. He hasn't really ever had the opportunity to take a club and drive his ambition, drive a project. That's what attracts him to Olympiacos. He will supposedly get the opportunity to roll out his vision or develop a vision for the club. He doesn't have the experience though. Morgan De Sanctis does not have the experience that
He
Walter
has no
Sabatini
experience as being the head honcho for sure, and something that which is really interesting that hasn't been in the Greek media, but we were told by Marco, is that Morgan De Sanctis has been approached by multiple clubs in Serie B this spring going into this summer and has turned them down. He's been focusing more on crafting a player portfolio, I guess he told us. He's looking to form up a better understanding also of the South American market. Supposedly he's been traveling quite a bit throughout Argentina and the rest of the continent. So he turned down all of those opportunities, albeit in Serie B. So it's looking interesting. One thing that we don't know is De Sanctis' experience as well with Sabatini. We don't know the relationship. I assume there may be some crossover because I think there was at Roma. What we can say about De Sanctis is he has experience with very good technical directors. We can say that. What did they call it? Mochi magic during the days of Mochi at Roma. Now the sporting director at Sevilla. That's going very well for him. He's considered one of the best sporting directors in the world. And also with Pinto, I think the name is, of the Portuguese technical director who was at Roma, or could still be at Roma. I don't remember. But anyway.
Yeah, he's still there, and I just want to address this comment.
Yeah.
So we did ask this question about his relationship with Thiago Pinto at Roma. Apparently, Pinto came in as a new guy after Monsi left, and I got the impression that the relationship with De Sanctis wasn't so warm. Pinto had his own scouts, his own team, and De Sanctis was kind of not really the right-hand man, but kind of bit of a third wheel, watching and trying to learn and understand. So yeah, De Sanctis has had some experience of being around some, very charismatic backroom star football figures. And there's also a question, a lot of confusion about, guys, what's the difference between technical director and general director? General director is the one that has the overview, like the big vision, let's say, and is the connect between the board of directors, the footballing team, and then the sporting director is really closer to what's happening football wise on the pitch, transfers, really into those kinds of things. So Marco from TuttoMercato was telling us that Sabatini has fantastic experience of picking up players, particularly from South America, something that we've been tragic at as long as I can remember, picking up South American players and developing them. He brought in Javier Pastore, Edinson Cavani, and who was the other?
Paulo Dybala. He was one of the architects of Palermo years back, bringing them back up. They were demoted, I guess. And Paulo Dybala was one of the key points of that team that brought them back up. So
it would be really nice to diversify a little bit from just Portuguese players from the Portuguese league,
French ones,
players from Turkey. I mean, the French players have
been good,
great.
But I don't think Morgan De Sanctis or Sabatini have any links to the Turkish league, to the Saudi leagues that we've been seeing a lot of recently at Olympiacos. We've been seeing, of course, the wingers this last summer were Henry Onyekuru, Gary Rodriguez, both players, Turkish league players, connections to the Middle East as well for Gary Rodriguez. I don't think that's the type of profile they're going to be going to if they do. I'm really interested to see if Sabatini is going to be signing because some people in Greece are making it seem like he's signed for sure. He's a really high-profile sporting director, Costa. Like I don't think as we've been covering this story today, and we're lucky enough to have quite a few friends, Italians, but also in the football world who we've spoken to. I don't think people in Greece realize how high profile Sabatini is. Like what type of person this is. This is really high level sporting director. Is he a bit crazy? Is he put out there? He got in a huge fight with the owner of Salernitana publicly. Yes. But has he been a football scout and pulled in actual fantastic football players from God knows where? Yes. Has he formed very good football teams that have been competitive? Yes. So I'm really surprised that's not come up more. And it's weird because Sabatini has come out of the blue, because he was going to stay at Salernitana from all we considered until 5 days ago. The owner went off of him and the relationship broke down. So,
but he also said that I have an offer from
Yeah.
a big side from abroad playing Champions League,
yeah,
or competing for the Champions League.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
Sabatini said to them, he said, well, Salernitana, like, I just saved your ass, which, Jesus Christ, all the Italians will agree with you. He did. And the accomplishment of that, I really can't underscore it more. Salernitana was in a position where they were thinking of being demoted and points being deducted for an ownership issue. They could barely win a game. Fans aren't coming. Their stadium is decrepit. And he brought in 10 guys in 15 days and they turned it around. That's incredible. We should underscore that even more. It's really incredible.
something that was really emphasized to us is that he has a very strong personality. So
Indeed, yeah.
they will interview him tomorrow. Per our sources, he'll be in Athens, will be interviewed tomorrow. They have to be able to communicate and understand each other and be clear, because I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to be accepting any bullshit. He's no bullshit kind of guy. That's the impression that I have of him. I mean, look at the picture. Look at the picture that we have of him. This guy. That's Walter Sabatini. For those of you that have never seen him before.
Avid smoker as well. Supposedly he will smoke on the pitch, no problem. Supposedly, yeah.
Now, there are a lot of questions. We're going to go through the comments, guys.
Thank you, guys. Keep sending the questions. We'll go through them.
Keep them coming. Like, we're going to get to them. We'll take things. As well. And actually, do you know what, guys? I am going to drop the link into the chat. Anybody that wants to get on and talk to us,
feel free.
Feel free. So,
and in Greek, we have a lot of Greek listeners tonight as well. If you want to speak Greek, we can speak Greek. It's fine.
Yes, guys. Άμα θέλετε και στα ελληνικά, πάμε, no problem. What did I want to say? I wanted to say that it seems like something's been going on for a long time, and a lot of people in the chat are asking about transfers, and that's what I was thinking this morning as well. It's like, how can we possibly have a transfer policy and transfer targets when we're talking about changing our entire backroom staff? This is, I called it a mini Italian, an Italian revolution, sweeping Olympiacos. These two high-profile Italians coming in. We can't possibly sign players without first confirming that these guys are coming in. And it made me think, let's go back. Nottingham Forest goes up, they're promoted. Great for Forest, great for Marinakis, potentially very good for Olympiacos as well. We'll see in the balance of things. My point is that when did everybody essentially get back to dealing with Olympiacos within the club? There are a lot of things to deal with for the board, and I think this is also one of the reasons why the backroom staff is being strengthened, is that there are people at Olympiacos that are dealing with both Olympiacos and Nottingham Forest. So they need to bring in some people, football people with experience, to help run the club and to ensure that the club runs sustainably without President Marinakis having to go to Eredi 5 times this year, as he did.
Yeah.
Marinakis doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be going to Eredi 5 times a year. He needs the football club to function like a proper modern European football club. So it looks like we will be cleaning up shop, making sure everything is in place, all the pieces are in place in terms of the backroom staff before we make transfers. That's what serious clubs do. I know that we start pre-season next Tuesday, and that does worry me slightly. We have to be patient. We can be more critical, but we have to be patient. We said on this show that we will give a chance to Pedro Martins and the team this season to turn things around. We do have demands to see good football on the pitch, a team that plays with determination and drive, like the first season of Martins, like the second season. We don't want to see what we saw last season. And I think we're going to have to be a bit patient. And I've ranted on a little bit, but those are some of my thoughts on what has happened and how it's happened, and explaining what's been happening the last week and more.
I wrote a thread on Twitter when this news broke, and it was before the full story developed, but I'm going to just go over some of my ideas as I wrote them. The problem at the moment at Olympiacos is not bringing players in. Yes, we need to bring players in, but I want people to go down the list of players. Francois Modesto, along with Pedro Martins, with or without, who knows, with his approval, has brought into Olympiacos a lot of heavy contracts. The budget is the most expensive it's been in years, almost the most it's ever been in the Marinakis era. And is this the best team in the Marinakis era? For sure not. So the team is full of these heavy contracts, and these are people like, we'll start off, Sokratis Manoulas, Jan Envia, Thomas Vachlik, Ruben Semedo, Pierre Kunde, Henry Onyekuru. A lot of these players which are not being sold for good money. I think the goal at this point is just to get them off of the payroll. The payroll problem is massive, is really, really bad. The first job of Morgan De Sanctis, and if the other guy comes in, I'm forgetting the names.
Walter Sabatini.
Sabatini. I want to say Bastini for some. Bastini, Sabatini. Anyway, the real problem is going to be shipping these contracts off, and doing that without help from agents is going to be extremely difficult. The big problem is people don't want to take these massive contracts, and a lot of mediocre players, specifically Onyekuru, Kunde, but there's more. There's a lot more in this team, and they're difficult to move on, guys. I really hope you all understand that. So, Francois Modesto, thank you for the memories. I wrote an article about this back in January, Costa, if you remember, about the precarious state that Olympiacos was now found in itself by this strategy. And the strategy currently, as we hear it, to give El-Arabi maybe 2 million euros on a 2-year closed contract is exactly the type of Modesto move that has led Olympiacos to this situation. So the big thing of De Sanctis and Sabatini will be letting players go. And Adonis Ikonomidis, who I really respect, I think he's one of the best Greek sports journalists, he's a close follower of Olympiacos, Nottingham Forest at the same time. He said that Pedro Martins is fine with the squad as it currently is and seeing it as it is. It's because the squad is massive, guys. There's going to be around 35, 40 dudes probably in that preseason. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of bodies. There's going to be a lot of shifting on to do, and it's not easy when players are making huge bloated contracts. Who is going to take Henry Onyekuru's large contract? The best case scenario is a Turkish team in their current economic standing paying maybe 50, 60% of his contract. That is the situation on hand. Like, let's be very real about that. So the first thing that they're going to need to do is they're going to need to shift players on. It's going to be difficult, and it's going to take the whole summer. I think people need to realize it's going to take a long time to move a lot of the contracts that have eaten into the payroll. The second thing they're going to need to do, I know everyone wants big transfers. They're going to show up, blah, blah, blah. They need to sign 2 to 3 players. And I know that sounds terrible. That's not enough. But that's all you can do at this point. Olympiacos is looking down the barrel of playing football in 6 weeks, 5 weeks in the Champions League qualifiers. If my math's not wrong, 6, 7 weeks.
It's basically just over a month away.
just over a month away. The club at best can get 2 to 3 players and get them into the team. The situation for El-Arabi, I'm not considering. So these guys roll. These Italian guys are coming into the role. And their first things first is, fuck, I got to get all of these guys out. I'm going to have to get all of these guys out. I've got to get all of these bloated contracts out. It's extremely difficult. I think it's a difficult job to be on. Go on, Costa. You see a comment.
This is a really interesting comment sent from Nick Hemphill. I'm assuming, Nottingham Forest fan. Situations he says sounds like some of the backroom off-field changes are similar to what happened at Nottingham Forest between the end of the previous season and the season just gone. I've seen that line of thought in some articles and some opinions that I've read today as well, that Marinakis, the president, he may have looked at what happened at Forest over the past season, and since he essentially got Francois Modesto, Yanis Vredzos, those guys out of the day-to-day running of Nottingham Forest, and he left the running of the football team to the manager and to the CEO, Dane. I can't remember what his name is, but he left it to the football people. And Modesto and Vredzos were taken out, and we've talked to Forest fans, and they were not happy, in particular with Mr. Vredzos. Anyway, it's not for us to critique that, but it goes back to what I was saying earlier. So Marinakis doesn't want to be in situations where he has to intervene. Dane Murphy, thank you, Nick. He wants to leave the running of the football club to football people. He wants it to run smooth. Like he wants it to run like a football team, like a business. Doesn't have to do too much. So that is an interesting observation, Nick. Thanks for sharing that.
I agree completely. The situation at Olympiacos has gotten out of hand. I think there have been moments where this club has benefited extremely well from relationships with managers and agents. Specifically, we saw Daniel Podenza came to Olympiacos because of that. Jose Sa, Ruben Semedo initially. We've seen cases where an agent has offered a player and those connections have driven us over the top. But it's clear that it's gone off the other end, if that makes sense, right, Costa? We need to reestablish ourselves. We need to go move. It's fine making these agent-driven moves to an extent, but at this point, Olympiacos needs to reset. And you know what? I think the first message to say is you rescind the offer of El-Arabi and you tell him good luck. I think you have to rescind the offer. I think what El-Arabi has done to Olympiacos is unacceptable, holding the team hostage like it is. The offer is way too good to the player who has not been good this season. And to be honest, has not treated the club well recently with this whole situation. The team needs clarity. And I think the clarity is, thank you for the memories, but this was unacceptable. This Olympiacos football club will not going to be held hostage. We wish you the best of luck. And I know a lot of fans won't like to hear that, but that's what's needing to be said at this point with the way we have been treated by Youssef El-Arabi. I think it's unacceptable for a player to treat the club like that after all it's given. We're a week away from preseason. We don't know if he's going to be there. We're offering him with bonuses almost 3 million euros a year. And that's what we've heard from reporters and from the club. So there's nothing else to say. I am an El-Arabi fan. I wanted him to renew, but this situation, it's gone too far. And I think it's over. I just, especially with the Sanctis here and with Sabatini, screw it, guys. Like, they're going to have profiles which they can bring us, God willing, and you roll with them. You say goodbye to Youssef El-Arabi, and that's it. And you know what's really interesting, Costa? I have one more note. Did you see what Mathieu Valbuena did today? Went to the French press and said, I have an offer, but I haven't signed yet. You know why he did that? Because the Sanctis or Sabatini were probably like, you didn't sign shit. You're out of here. You're 38 years old and you're barely able to play. We're not giving you that contract. I promise you that's why would you go out on Radio Monte Carlo and say, I have a contract, but I haven't signed? It's because he saw the new guys are coming in. His French friends, Modesto, probably is leaving. He said, I fucking still want my contract. And I promise you that's what happened.
There's a big question mark, actually. It's interesting you raised that. There's a question mark about Anigo as well, because Anigo and Modesto normally package deal. And he was supposed to be the director of the academy. I don't think it's ever been officially announced.
Yeah.
But now there's a question mark over Anigo, whether he's going to stay there. It's interesting what you say about Valbuena, the timing in particular.
We haven't discussed it, but I was thinking about it a bit more as I was listening to what he said.
You could be right. You could well be right.
I hate to bring this up, but we have spoken to players, Elias, Luciano, where they have come to vocal oral agreements with the club, and that was taken off the table after a few weeks. I don't want to say that's on the cards here, but if I'm Mattia Valbuena and I've agreed with Francois Modesto for a contract, but I haven't signed, and now I look over my shoulder and Francois Modesto's gone, and I may not have a contract in 2 weeks, I go out and say, I have agreed with Olympiacos. I'm very excited to get back and sign my official contract. That's just my opinion.
I've always said, like, a club that has a plan, that has a vision, they already know who the replacements of Mattia Valbuena and Youssef El-Arabi are going to be before the end of the season. They've already identified the targets, and they've either closed them in. They're players whose contracts are expiring. They've normally already identified the replacements, whether it's a Remy Cabella, or just dropping a random name. But for me, if Mattia Valbuena doesn't renew his contract, it's not the end of the world. The El-Arabi situation is more serious because for the last 3 years we've had a striker that scores average 20 plus goals a year. Whether that's he has regressed considerably this year. A lot of his goals from penalties as well. Doesn't have the same amount of pace or ability to press in Europe as he did maybe in his first season. It was never really known for pressing, but he could chase after a ball. If they threw it over the top, he'd hustle defenders. And don't see that as much. I saw that Isco was also becoming a free agent as well, but maybe he might be a little bit too expensive, Comsi. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, man, I agree with your point about El-Arabi, to kind of close the circle on that, because I know there have been some questions about El-Arabi, and somebody even raised that, does the new directors coming in mean that situation is over? It's ridiculous, guys. Like, honestly, the guy's being offered a closed 2-year contract with 2 million, 4 million guaranteed, plus bonuses of 1 million, taking him up to 6, and he wants more. Whether it's been reported that he wants more on the bonuses. It's like, enough is enough. And he's probably using that as well to go back to Qatar and say, look, this is what the Greeks are offering me. Can you give me 5 instead of 4? It just feels like a bit too much. And, we're speculating. We don't know what's going on. But it's too much. It's like, okay, thank you. And do you know what? Before we go to questions, comments, let's go to the comments after this. I would think that discussions have already begun with the Sanctis, with Sabatini tomorrow about what players can they bring in immediately. I think those discussions will have already taken place, or will take place tomorrow when Sabatini is in Athens for the interview. So, we said earlier, Sabatini pulled off some miracles with Salernitana. We're not Salernitana, but these guys have network.
That's the big thing, the network that they bring. And I will say this: if you trust De Sanctis and Sabatini, you tell them, you find me the striker. That's your first job. You show me, and you find me the striker. And God damn it, they're gonna be itching. I bet you Sabatini is. He would love to be like, I find a striker and here's 3 million euros to give him. I promise you he's not going to be talking about some shitty Kyle Laden. No offense to Kyle Laden, the guy kicked out of Turkey and is looking for a big contract. I promise you it's not going to be that. So you got to leave it in these guys' hands. The professionals, they're well known in Italy for what they do. You got to see. I think we can go into the comments, But there's
I
another
want to say
can of worms which we
one more
can.
thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Labrador. Before we
Mhm.
go into comments, there's one more thing I want to throw in on the table. When we talked to Marco from TuttoMercato, go and check that interview out, guys. Afterwards, I'll leave the link above after when the live is finished. I asked him the question: can these guys work together? Or actually, he anticipated the question, and his response was basically along the lines of both these guys. They have worked with other people before, like they're used to doing that in Italy, having more than one or two people like working together in
And
these
big
kinds
personalities too. He said as well.
Yeah, I see a more inexperienced guy in De Sanctis that can work together with Sabatini and help him. I think De Sanctis will want to develop like a kind of vision with the club for the next few years, and Sabatini can be the kind of the one that executes. So De Sanctis can say, okay, the team needs this. This is where we want to go. Help me to do that. And Sabatini is the guy with the experience and they bring all those things together and they make it happen.
And De Sanctis as well, it should be said, was very involved in youth teams and youngster development at Roma, one of the best academies in Italy. So maybe De Sanctis has a long-term vision of the B team, developing the B team. I think that with his pitch to Olympiacos, he should have made clear, I can help develop this B team and finally get youth production going at your football club. I have experience doing this. I can bring in talent from Rome. I'm sure that was part of the pitch. I'm sure it was. And you know what? These guys don't know the Greek environment like Modesto has now for years, and the toxic environment that can come out of it. But you just hope they can battle through it. They can battle almost the bureaucratic and slowing forces of Greek football and the establishment inside big clubs like Olympiacos. Sometimes there's people who like things the way they are. They're going to bring a new, fresh approach. And one more thing we need to bring up is we don't know who else is going to leave. I've seen this comment a few times on our Twitter. We can't answer this right now. We've asked. There's not an answer. Maybe they're holding it close to their cards regarding Vasilis Torosidis, Christian Karambe.
Yeah.
We can't
say. But we mentioned Anigo as well. It was supposed to be the director of the youth team.
We can't say. We're not going to sell you bullshit. We don't know.
You're right what you said, though. Like De Sanctis, as we were told earlier, he has experience of working with young players, working with the youth team. We were told, Roma has one of the best canterias, best youth academies in Italy. Yeah. So it takes us back to this discussion about Anigo. Will Anigo go with Modesto? And as general director, as the guy with the bigger vision, will De Sanctis take over that part of the academy as well? It could be a good thing.
Yeah. And I think anyone can Giovanni, very nice. Thank you for dropping the message in. Sabatini is bigger than De Sanctis, and that's what we've been told. And it's something that Marco from Tuttosport, I forget the name, said as well. They can help balance each other, and it's something that's normal in Italian football. So we'll see. We can't tell you who's leaving, who else is leaving tonight. We're gonna see. I think anything can happen. And something else we're gonna be talking about. I think Pedro Martins could go by next week as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to drop that bomb on anyone, but I had to. This is just a gut feeling. I think there's movement for Martins. I don't think you bring a sporting and technical director in and then say, here's the coach who, I think they'll give it to, they'll try to give it to him. But I think the rumors of Pedro Martins leaving Olympiacos and Brazilian teams looking at him are not random, if that makes sense. So
I did ask some
your
Greek
opinion. I don't know.
I did ask some Greek journalists about this today, actually, and it's not the first time that Flamengo are interested in Martins.
Yeah.
So it's been on the rumor mill in previous seasons. He didn't go out there. I don't know what changes this season so close after he's he signed a new contract. I do agree the timing was a little bit like, oh my God, these Italians are coming in. They don't know the coach. They'd probably want their own guy. But I think there was also the message from Martins on his Instagram or on his socials, which
it was very cryptic today.
It's never him. He's also come out publicly and said, I don't handle my social media accounts. So that message about, you know, the good relationship with the president and the appreciation, it was a bit weird. And all of these things, like they form a nice conspiracy theory. In practice, we'll see what happens. As you said, I think the next couple of days we could see real
big movement.
Real
I don't. What I'm gonna say about this tonight, the news all came from Italy today, guys, and that's why we made the call that we were gonna reach out to Italian journalists, and we spoke to Marco on air, but we spoke to a few off camera as well. There is movement happening at Olympiacos, and the Greek media is a bit slow to react because I don't think they know exactly what's going on. The club is keeping the cards close to the chest. So all the information is going through the Italians. I haven't seen a Greek reporter break 1 ounce of anything on this story. So keep your eyes on the Italian reporters. We will be keeping them updated. We'll be asking questions, and we'll hopefully bring you the news when it happens. We're not just going to say reports in Italy say. We'll call the reporter who writes the report and ask them what it says. You know, why are we saying reports are saying like they are in the Greek media? So we'll see. I think everything is on the table. Christian Karambe could go in theory. I'm not saying he is, but I don't know his role now. We
can't rule anything out.
Exactly. That's the main point. That's the main point. Could Martins go? Again, we can't rule it out. I have a gut feeling that this could be it. This is very like Marco Silva-esque. A lot of people have been comparing it to this summer where a few weeks before preseason, he didn't get his budget and he was like, I'm retiring for whatever. You know what I mean? It has weird vibes. So I think we're in for a goddamn roller coaster. Today was insane. I can't remember a day like this supporting Olympiacos with so many dominoes falling. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're almost 45 minutes in, guys. We've tried to bring in some of the comments as well and do the rounds of, okay, what's happened, how it's happened, what does it mean? We've tried to analyze it.
Yeah.
There is a link in the chat, guys. If you guys want to hop on, some of you have asked, is there a link tonight? Yes, there is. If you guys want to hop on and talk to us, ask questions, hit the link, like come and join us. Love to have a chat in English, Italianica, whatever you guys want. Before we do that, another shameless call. Please hit that like button. It really does help in disseminating this episode, getting it out to a wider audience. We want to bring Olympiacos fans from all over the world together. So please do leave us a comment, any criticism, positive or negative. We're democratic people, and please subscribe as well. That way you won't miss any future episodes. Lots of great content coming your way always from Gate 7 International.
And follow us on social media as well, because those reports we post on Twitter, for example, we ran a thread with some of the key points Marco told us as well. So if you're not following us on there, you can do that as well to follow
Twitter, Twitter, Instagram,
and Facebook.
We're everywhere. Very good. Okay, I'm going to go through some of these comments now and see what we haven't addressed.
Sounds good.
Alex050 says Sabatini is actually very good. Finally, no more French players or players from Africa. Time to look at Italian players or from other countries. Our history with Italian players hasn't been too great.
Yeah,
a couple of
Leali is the last one I remember. I don't know who.
Vincenzo Greco is another one. He came from Roma, left-footed midfielder, stayed about a year, then left. Enzo Maresca is another one. Italian players haven't done so well as far back as I can remember. But I think somehow it would be good to keep someone like Karim Beur around, have that French network. I still think that
There's a role for it. There's still a role for it.
I still think that we will retain that kind of expertise around France, and I don't think that there will be a rupture with Modesto. I think Modesto has always wanted something bigger, to go to a bigger league. To an extent, like, you know, he has had success at Olympiacos. So he's going to a team that's promoted to Italy. Like, we wish him well. And I think that kind of access to the French agents and the French second division in particular will stick around. So I don't think this means that, you know, that the French players coming to Olympiacos, the young French players in particular, is over. I think what we're trying to do is expand,
diversify the profile.
Exactly.
And like our friend Giovanni here says, Sabatini likes talent from South America mainly. That's the thing as well. Olympiacos has flopped over and over and over in the South American market. Olympiacos struggles with developing players from there, getting them into the rhythm of European football, but also adapting to European football. Case in point, Maxi Lovera came in as a huge talent. Where is he now? Who knows? Who knows? Which also is a point we can discuss later. If more South Americans come in, is Maxi Lovera going to come in and do something? But anyway, go on.
Next comment, Gregory Sinanidis. I think you tweeted us about this as well, mate. Yeah. Can we see such big names as Belotti or Benedeschi coming in as free agents? I mean, we can dream, but I think the likelihood is very low.
What people need to understand, like I said at the beginning of the show, the budget is so big. I don't know how else I can say this. The contracts are massive, and these contracts are not of players who are going to be sold for big money. Ruben Semedo is one of the highest earners in the club, and God damn it, they can't get rid of him. Porto pulled out, and they're not going to buy him now, or they're going to try to stab us to get us to go even cheaper. Guys, the biggest thing right now at Olympiacos, what the club needs, it needs to figure out a way to get these big contracts out of the club. The transfers, the bigger transfers for me will be the players that we can recuperate some money and get them out of this team. It's not going to be a big name. I think, to be honest, I could see one big name. Javier Pastore, I think, is having a bit of like a resurgence in his career. Midfielder, Argentinian. I think he's in Spain. That's one name. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. The opposite needs to occur. The opposite needs to occur. As much as I see people say Marinakis doesn't spend, the team needs to stop being so cheap. The budget is massive. The budget is it's something I've never seen before at this club. Just people
it could
just
be
look
bigger
through.
than that team that Hazi had. Like, the budget is off the hook.
Think about how much we're paying. Think about the contracts that Manolas had to take to leave Napoli. Socrates had to take to leave Arsenal. That's two right there. Vachlik to be pulled away from Sevilla and other Spanish teams. The contracts are massive. If you give another big contract to Yusuf El-Arabi, and one thing I'll say as well, I don't know what Modesto promised Valbuena as well. If it's a contract, if it's 1 million euros, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to be surprised. I'm going to be honest. All of these things considered, and also the role players. There's role players on high-end contracts as role players. Koundé for one. Gary Rodriguez is another. Henry Onyekuru again. The people are on heavy contracts. So that is the goal right now. That is the goal. Try as hell to get into the Champions League and try hard to get rid of these garbage players that Francois Modesto, along with Pedro Martins, have brought into Olympiacos the past 2 years. That's the goal. That is the goal right now for me and for the team. Maybe get a bit younger. So I don't know.
We've got a guest.
One of our favorite guests. Bring him in, yes.
Such an honor, guys, when you call me
Welcome.
favorite guest. Thank you. How are you doing? All good?
Hi,
Good.
Roman.
How did you take this
From
news?
Moscow.
Tell us.
Yeah, I'm in Moscow right now. You know, it seems like it's a forerunner of Martin's departure. That's the feeling I have. I mean, if that's the case, I'm applauding our decision. I think it's the right one. Not because I'm Marty Martins. You remember that I was actually supportive towards Martins, but because I wanna see things changing, and things that has to do much more with just the manager change. I want our club to change our mentality, our culture. I want to see a team with an average age of 24, let's say. I want to see players like Fetfadzidis brought up from the second team to their main team. By the way, do you remember who took Fetfadzidis from the second team to the first one? Costa, do you remember?
Valverde.
No.
No?
It was
Oh,
Zico.
shit. Zico, you're right.
It was Zico. Can you, I mean, ask yourself, would Martins do the same?
No, unless it's Project Chimicas, like we were told with Kitsos. Wow, that was a disaster. But yeah.
I can't think of who he has actually advanced from the academy, because Chimicas technically wasn't coming back from. He wasn't coming from the academy. He was coming from Toulon.
Yes. He was on loan. I think it was in Holland. Then he had a good year, and then we had this conversation: who is better, Tsimikas or Kutris? And well, we saw how it went. By the way, we can afford a team that will win the championship and that will have a very, very young, like average age. We can do that, and we can become a selling club. It sucks to see discussions about El-Arabi contract when he's 35 and he's asking for 3 years more, and we're considering that. I mean, is that what you want for your team? He's a beast of a player, but come on, guys, we can win the championship without El-Arabi. We can bring a young guy who's gonna be like 23, 24, and we can sell him for 10, for 15 millions in the future. The same thing applies for our defenders as well. Like for the whole team, build a young team, guys. We can win a championship with a young team. We don't have to have players like Valbuena or El-Arabi who are like 35 and 36. Thank you for everything, but that's not how I want Olympiacos to be in my eyes, you know?
Yeah. No, I get that completely. The fact about Mathieu Valbuena, the club struggles with moving players on. I remember Chori Dominguez, David Fuster. When players reach the end at Olympiacos, it's really difficult to get them out, because there's this idea with Valbuena too. It's already been discussed. Oh, they're gonna take a permanent position, and it's happening now with Torosidis, which is fine. He's different, and Avram as well, but not every veteran who passes from Olympiacos, like Chori Dominguez became a scout of Olympiacos. What does Chori Dominguez know about scouting? No offense, I love him as a player, but just because you're an older veteran of Olympiacos and you're coming to the end of the career doesn't mean you need to become a member of the staff. I struggle with that. There's this idea we'll keep extending your contract, and then when you're ready, you become a member of a staff.
I mean, I don't mind veterans in the team, but like it's fine to have one or two max.
No, but when you want,
you need a good mix of both. Like we've said it today, like we've said it a few times this season. The average age has gone up. It's a lot.
A lot.
They're all above 30, the key players. And you know they've still got years ahead, but you need some youth in that team to complement the veterans. You don't have a Daniel Pedenza anymore, that has the eye of the tiger, like that determination to be seen and get a big transfer. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Like Mvila, Socrates, Manolas,
Vachlik is good, but of course, but
like these guys, they're top, but they're not looking to leave. I'm trying to say, that's it for them. Like they've got a couple of years, or 1 year in some cases, left on their contract. Maybe they'll extend. Maybe they'll go to I don't know. It's not the same. Like you need some players with ambition and determination to show something more and learn from those more experienced players. Like there's the famous expression, at least from England, you never win anything with kids, which Alan Hansen famously said about Manchester United. He was wrong, but generally the gist of what he was saying is right. You need a mix of youth and experience to have a successful team. At the moment, that mix is wrong. It's the wrong way around.
But it's the transfer strategy as well. Why are you bringing Kenny Lala in, or why are you bringing Gary Rodriguez in? I know, but they're at that age profile where they're right around 30 years old. At what point do you sign Kenny Lala? And best case scenario, let's say Kenny Lala played fantastic for Olympiacos this past year and a half. Who is going to pay more than 3 or 4 million euros for Kenny Lala? You know what I mean? Who are you? You're not competing against anybody. There's no future in this player. And that's the problem, because there's too many positions where there's no future in that position. You look at your central defenders outside of Cisse, Papastathopoulos, Manoulas, they're not being sold. Vachilik is not being sold. There's now 3 positions. Lala's not being sold for any money. That's 4. MVA is not being sold for a lot of money. El-Arabi is not being sold. We're looking at half the team almost is players that you cannot move on for any sum of money. And that is why I was extremely critical of Francois Modesto. And look at the shit show this club is in right now, guys. Like, the media does not do a good job of explaining how bloated this budget is, how many useless players you have on massive wages. It is a real problem, and they're in terrible age profiles too. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Let's see what.
Labro, you're right. There's a very, very big mismanagement of our contracts. Can you imagine, like, if we get rid of those players you mentioned? I mean, not those players you mentioned, like the ones that didn't offer us anything with massive contracts, and bring some youth prospects. Let's say from Africa, from Brazil, or from whatever. I mean, at least we can gamble. They can become, they can be like Lovera, or they can be like Diogo on his first year. We don't know that. But we have to take these chances to bring young guys and see, okay, if they don't play it, it's fine. I mean, they're not the first one, neither the last ones, right?
Yeah.
But bring some youth. I mean, show us that you have a vision for the future.
Yeah, and the whole situation with Markovic, I don't know if you followed, Roman, where he was a starlet of the Partizan Academy. He was like their version of Retsos, if we think of it like that. He captained them, did very well. This player is now suing Olympiacos. Can you believe a player is suing Olympiacos for maltreatment and bullying? A star, not just like, this isn't, I don't know, some random guy from the academy who didn't make it. It's a guy who could have gone almost anywhere leaving Partizan and went to Olympiacos, and he's been treated like this. It's a real disaster. It's a real disaster.
As much as I'm pissed off at that situation, like, we don't know the other side of the story.
We don't know the other side of the story. Yeah, no, I agree completely. But all I'm gonna say is I don't know how Martins continues with this new group of Italians and movement. They're gonna have to sit down for a conversation. Maybe they've already spoken, but I don't know.
And another thing about the transfer rumors, we're talking about Milivojevic, who is on his 30s. We're talking about Badluk, the right back guy from the Watford, not
from
Watford,
Sheffield.
from Sheffield. Yeah, he's also like 29 or 28. I mean, come on, guys. You don't need. Yes, you need experience. I do agree, but I mean, as you said before, you need the right, let's say, analogia, how you say in English.
Ratio, balance.
Yes, exactly, and it works only one way, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard one rumor about a young guy, about a prospect, about the future, about something.
I mean,
you don't need 30-year-old players to win the Greek championship. You don't need them. You can do exactly the same thing with young guys. That's gonna bring you some money in the future.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just getting the balance right. And I think one of the best things about actually bringing these two guys in is the player profile that we have is really optimal for. I don't know if you've seen lower to mid-table Serie A sides, but they're just surviving for their lives. They don't care if you're 35 or you're 28. They'll take you. I think moving someone on like Kunde, I don't know, someone like Lala with their network maybe to a lower end mid-table Serie A side is now possible, or even Liga. I don't know. Costa, I don't know your opinion on that. What do these guys bring in getting rid of some of the product we have? Specifically, Semedo as well. You also have the contract of Fortunis. Who knows what the hell's going to happen there? I don't know what to do. Like I sound like a repeating record because that's been my concern for over a year and a half, 2 years. I've been writing about this stuff, about Olympiacos, and it's kind of finally feeling like, well, everyone else is like, oh shit, like it's coming around. Even the media is like, we've got a few problems. I don't know. A lot of people were in a denial about it, but I think that's where we are right now, and we got to make changes.
And changes are what we're getting.
Yeah, changes are what we're getting. Yeah.
We need to be patient.
Is Valverde still available?
He is still available.
Do you know what? I
and so is Marco Bielsa, Marcelo Bielsa. A lot of people are reminding us.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's really interesting what's going to come out of this. I'm really intrigued by seeing a new approach at Olympiacos. And what Costa went back to a bit at Nottingham Forest, I really, 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 really hope that there were some lessons taken out of that. Like something along the lines of, wait, we don't need to rely on agents to get players. We can do a bit of scouting. We can do a bit of data analytics. We can produce a few players out of the academy and make a lot of money. You know what I mean? I think they had the story. Brennan Johnson came out and he was from their academy and he's almost worth over 20 million pounds at this point. Jed Spence was a young player who turned out, I know he was on loan for them. I don't know a ton about Forest, but it's more of the idea. Look at the disaster that was brought. Forest was on the brink of being in a relegation group because of these agent deals, these kind of slimy transfers that we've become to love, the ones we know at Olympiacos. Let's move away from that and let's see. And you know what? Is the Sanctis and the other guy Sabatini? God, his sucking name. Sabatini. Anyway, are they connected to agents? I fucking bet you they are.
I'm sure they are.
I'm sure
everyone is connected to agents.
It doesn't work without agents.
Exactly.
That's what people forget when a transfer is
people don't understand.
Everyone just thinks that that something happens, like people have talks and the transfer's done. No. There's salaries, there's bonuses, there's agent fees, there's all sorts of things that are involved in a transfers. They don't just happen like that. Mm-hmm. So again, we touched on this earlier. The discussions have been held with the Sanctis, with Sabatini. I'm sure that, all right, who can you bring in tomorrow is part of the discussion.
Who's into our network? And we need more agents as well. Yeah. So.
These guys know. I want to just come back to this issue of the youth. We've talked about it a few times today. Nick from Forest is asking as well about our academy. We talked about Brennan Johnson, Jed Spence. I've dropped a question in the YouTube chat, and I'd like everybody to go and answer that question there. The question is, would you be willing to accept some bad results for the sake of developing young prospects from our academy? That's what it comes down to, guys. Because in Greece, we know that one draw, one defeat, and the media turns and the fans turn against you very, very quickly. And young players make mistakes. Jolakis made mistakes last season. Young players made mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. You don't improve. So we really, all of us, we have to ask ourselves that question. And we know that Olympiacos we're not living in the Kokalis era. I'm not comparing Kokalis and Marinakis, but it's not possible for Olympiacos to attract players like Rivaldo, the big Bam. Like we're treating Henry Onyekuru signing as big Bam. That's bullshit. It's not a big Bam. Rivaldo's a Bam. Garebe's a Bam. I'm trying to think of big Manolas. Manolas was a bang. But we those opportunities are just not possible. We've dropped so far down the coefficients. We should have been starting from the first round of qualifiers for the Champions League in late June. We need to change our model. That's what Roman's saying as well. We need to develop more young players. It's how we can make cash, revenue, developing them, selling them. We're already a selling club, but we're a selling club when we buy or bring young players from outside of our system, play them, and then sell them. The last players that we developed from our academy directly, it was essentially Retos.
Yeah. Retos
Think about how much money you got from that generation of Retos. Nicolau also sold for around 4 million euros.
Yeah.
That's not bad sale. Kenny Lala is barely going to get you 1.52. We're looking at Ruben Semedo for 4.5. Even the average ones, which we can say Nicolau, I thought he was decent. Okay. But the ones that aren't Retos, let's say, they're young, and a team may say, well, we see a few characteristics that we can tweak. We'll give you 4 because we think we can maybe make 8. When I buy Kenny Lala, if I'm Lille right now and I'm looking at 31-year-old Kenny Lala, the best I get is 2-3 years out of him, and then he's released on free contract. That's the reality, right? So even if your academy players aren't amazing, let's say like Likoyannis, like this type, they'll still send you good 3-4 million because they have a chance to get even more money with signing a player like Lala. There's no chance at profit margins for these teams, so they won't give you anything. That's my main takeaway.
And another thing I would like to mention is that let's think about the players that used to be in our youth team. We released them because we thought they weren't good enough, and then they had very good careers. I think Saliakas was one of them, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Would we mind to have Saliakas as a backup in the back?
No, I think
we cannot hear Costa. You're muted.
For registration, yeah, it would be great. But Costa, go.
I think Labro and I have different opinions on this, on Saliakas, and Profidiga mentions Siopis as well.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't watched the interview that he did with Betarades, he pretty much talks about what happened at Olympiacos. He was playing injured in that first game against Partizan away from home, like really badly injured, like taped up his ankle, could barely run.
And took 2 to 3 shots as well into his ankle directly.
Yeah, and then he was surplus to requirements, and he made the transfer request. The club was pissed at him, and everything kind of turned sour. I think Siopis would have a place in this team. As
Saliakas also.
Saliakas too. No, I agree. Statistically,
Yanis as well. As a backup.
Yeah, we never played them. They never got the opportunity. They never got the opportunity to play for us. That's it. It's as simple as that. They never got the opportunity. They got an opportunity means a string of games. You can't say, oh, he played 45 minutes, he's crap. It doesn't work like that. Anyone that's played football before, that has an understanding of humans, confidence, development, that's not how you develop a player. Play him 20 minutes. Don't play him for 6 games. Play him for 10 minutes. No, that's not how you develop.
I think something I've learned over the years now, as we've been doing this podcast, as we've spoken with people in the game, but specifically to the players, you don't understand the circumstance and the complications of the individual sometimes when we're sitting here and we're throwing out names of players and whatnot. So when the stories sometimes you hear of a player, we bring up a story, oh, blah, blah, this wasn't great that year. And they say something like, well, my wife was having trouble with pregnancy and had health problems, and my mother had this and that. You know what I mean? There's so many individual circumstances that can turn a player into a great of Olympiacos and something that's holding them back just a bit, and we don't know. But there's always that. There's a chance things aren't going to go right away. These people are not robots, they're human beings. Also, Daniel Podence didn't go right away. He worked really hard and developed a lot of skills, which became apparent later. But yeah, I don't know. This is just the greatest thing about this whole, as we've been calling it, the Italian Revolution, is maybe there's something else out there for Olympiacos. Maybe there's another path, and goddamn, we hope there's a better path than the one we're on right now.
Another comment from ASG7 that I'd like to read says, we must be clear about the young players. We don't know if they deserve, and in Greece I have heard that they didn't go very well with Olympiacos in Football League. In the end, the B team, they kind of picked up towards the end of the season. They were drawing quite a lot of games, but Bagalianis, I thought, had a very good season. I'm not surprised. He's a guy that played as a starter for Aris, and he decided to come and play for our B team. Played a couple of first team games, and you could see like the lad's got passion. He's determined. He probably has ambition. He wants to play, and we're hearing that he's above Hussein Ubar in the pecking order going into pre-season. It's positive. Let's see how he does. There's the perennial kind of talk about Vasilis Surlis, who's been in the first team since last year, training with the first team. He's 18 years old, didn't get any games this year. After a great preseason and after playing in qualifiers, didn't get any opportunity.
Key in that game with Neftchi Baku on that shitty pitch on that hot night there. You remember? Yeah.
And he wasn't
Same with
bad.
Markovic, I think.
He wasn't bad against Baku.
Very good. So good. I mean, we've discussed him, and Ari's not here, and Ari's a super fan of Vasilis Surlis. We all know that. But it's a shame he didn't get more opportunities. So there is talent, and those of you listening now or listening later, go and listen to or watch Luciano's interview, because we asked him. He's been a coach for youth, youth teams at Xanthi, and I think he was at I want to say Piraeus. He told us about Greek players, that the problem Greek players have, according to him, is that they don't believe in themselves. They see foreign players coming in and they think, oh, this guy's come in, he's going to take away my place. Instead of, flipping that and saying, no, do you know what? I'm going to show this guy. Like Michael Jordan mentality. I don't know. I've been watching The Last Dance again. That's what we're hearing.
But it's also, it's built into the Greek mentality, I think, too, because of the Greek management style. Well, for fuck's sake, we just gave Brazilian blah, blah, blah a big contract. Are we going to start, I don't know, Papadopoulos, who's on like minimum salary, like as a technical director and coach? I'm fucked if I do that. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. It's the players, but also the incentive of the lower level technical directors and managers is, geez,
This is a good comment from Salomon Locker. Injections of young talents and good mix of players is what we want. The problem is we don't see these injections. I think what you were saying is what we've seen a lot with the academy players is that, there's been a game where Olympiacos plays Kolopetinitsa in the cup, and then the coach decides, let's change the entire starting 11 and play young players with each other. Again, that's not the best environment to throw them in. Yes, the ones that will really stand out, that are crazy impressive, will stand out. But I think a better way of doing it is to put them into a first team situation with the first team, with experienced players around them that can give them confidence, help them to bring out the skills and the talent. We've not really done that.
And this is why I fear for Pedro. I don't fear, but why I think Pedro Martin's job is at stake, because this mentality I don't think is built in to Pedro Martins idea. As we went over, De Sanctis has his starts from the Roma Youth Academy, which is very good. And this is his first go. And you know what? I think he may be looking to build it for 4 to 5 years, right? If you're De Sanctis, you're coming to Olympiacos to build something for 3, 4, 5 years, maybe, and then go back to Italy. At that point, you probably want to see a few young players developed who you can say, oh, you know, Vasilis Solis, got him sold to a big team. Currently, I saw an interview with TuttoMercato that Modesto said. He said, oh, I brought in Daniel Podense and organized the sale. I brought in Chimikas and said he would start, and I got that sale. You can go read the article. That's what he told TuttoMercato in January. So De Sanctis, when he tries to build his profile, he's going to want to say, oh, do you know that Solis, who's now in the UK? Well, I helped organize. You know what I mean? He's going to try to build his CV. And he's not going to build his CV by saying, you know what? Kenny Lala to Lille, I got for 1.5 million euros. You know what I mean? he's going to try to build something. And Pedro Martins, I'm sorry, at this point is like, fuck it. I need a result. I'm trying to survive at all costs here. So things are, you know what I mean? These things don't go together. Pedro Martins and young players and a new strategy do not go together from what we've seen in 2 years. So I don't know what his place is. I don't know what it is. He has to change his style or something. I don't know.
I want to read a Greek comment from Charalabos Samuelis. Καλησπέρα, μπορεί κάποιος να μου πει γιατί δεν κοιτάμε την σκανδιναβική αγορά? Μπας και βρούμε ένα νέο Μέλμπεργκ ή ένα νέο Κρίστινσεν για την επίθεση, αν και τον Κρίστινσεν δεν νομίζω να τον έχετε δει, είστε μικρή, αλλά αν ναι, ξέρετε γιατί μιλάω. I do remember the name Christensen. I was under 10 probably when he was playing, but I do remember his name. I think Haralabe, if you're listening or if you watch this later, go and check out a couple of interviews that we've done with Per Zetterberg. We talk about Scandinavia. One of the things that he told us about Scandinavia is the fact that they only bring in foreign players in Scandinavian teams only if the foreign players are not 2 times better, 3 times better, 4 times better, but 5 times better. So that's what it means to prioritize domestic players and try and develop players. And look at their national teams: Norway, Finland, Sweden, today Denmark. Yeah, don't laugh. All of those are strong teams that Greece hasn't beaten. Okay, we fluke beat Sweden, I think, in the under JVS, but when it came down to business and they needed to win, they
but also we're getting past, I think, is really key, the Greek Super League, but also Olympiacos, and this is not nice to say, but teams like Midland, is that how it's called? Malmo.
It's such a pain in the ass for Greek teams.
You know, they're going past us because they've developed this strategy. They're like, we're not good enough to be Ajax or Benfica, but in our little neighborhood, we can do. Do you
remember the fishing village that beat PAOK 2 years ago?
Which one? There's been quite a few.
I don't even remember the name. I don't even remember the name. Costa, do you remember the name of the team?
Was it Mario Bor? Was that the Romanian one? What was?
No, it was a Scandinavian team. It was a Scandinavian team,
Valerenga? I don't know.
No. I mean, it would be fine if it was Valerenga. It was something middle table or even worse like that. And they beat PAOK twice.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Oh, here we go. Someone did remember it, and it's with a picture of Lucescu. Yannis, if you're a PAOK fan.
Yes,
sorry.
Yes, that's it.
But yeah. And these are questions that it's really exciting that we're having this conversation, because with Francois Modesto and with the current arrangement, would we be having this conversation in a way where we say, maybe this could happen? Would we? I'm going to say no. Look at the roster he's constructed. I'm seeing a lot of people say, merci, Francois Modesto. You've done fantastic work at Olympiacos, and thank you for his service for sure. But guys, the roster is a disaster. The roster, top to bottom, is a disaster. We'll see. We'll see what's done. But
How Marinakis feels when he's paying that amount of money for players that are not even in the team right now?
the wage has to be
Yes.
much bigger than Nottingham Forest's wage budget as well. You would assume this past year, like almost double. Like, who are they paying really big? I don't know.
We have more players on the roster that aren't even on the squad.
Yeah,
That we don't even know about. So
Ruben Semedo makes around 2 million euros too, and he's been.
I don't think it's that much. I think it's closer to 1.5, which is still a lot of money.
I'm thinking half of like maybe all of his wage is paid by Porto right now, but still, I mean,
So,
we have a bunch of other players with less wages, but they are pretty useless because
but
they
it
never
stacks
played
up,
for
you know?
us.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. They never played for us. They're never gonna play for us, and for some reason, we still have them in our roster.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Well, look,
I think
guys,
that's for sure.
do we have anything more? Kind of almost midnight Central European time. We've talked, I think, pretty much everything we can say about Modesto, Sabatini, De Sanctis. Big changes coming to the club. It's it's a live situation. It's evolving minute by minute. Don't be surprised to see articles pop up with things that you're not expecting. We are scouring around, talking to our sources as well, keeping an eye on things. Labro, Roman, any last thoughts, comments?
Costa, do you think that Martins is about to leave with the whole situation with the current changes, or it doesn't have to do with that? It's a different story.
I don't think so, man. I think it's too much. Like, really, I think this is already quite a whirlwind to see this reshuffling happening, which it's been quite sudden. But if you think about it, not that surprising in a sense that it's been on the record from Carapapas in his interviews on the radio or from Olympiacos journalists that the board is not happy. It's not happy with the way the team's played and that there would be changes. I think we expected more of the changes in personnel in the football playing squad and not in the backroom. And that, I think, has been, to an extent, a little bit of a surprise. But for Martins, do I think it's the beginning of the end? Not now. I think that the club and the management, and now I mean Marinakis, has respect for Martins. There is a mutual respect there. And I think that they will give him the chance to take the team into the Champions League qualifiers. But he knows it. He's on thin ice. If he gets knocked out, I think that the Italians, they'll get rid of him at the
They're
first.
chomping at the bit to put their guy in, If you were just hired for a job and one of your key decisions was choosing the manager and they told you got to stick with this guy, the moment he fucks up, you're like, that's my chance to get my guy in, right? It makes clear sense. And this is one of the things that most scares me about this situation moving in. I think it's a great development, but what is going to happen when you have Ludogorets 2.0? You're going to bring in a manager in August or September who has no experience with the squad, and you're going to enter the championship like that it has the recipe to be a disaster. That's why I think, I don't know. I think there could be a development of him leaving in the next week, 2 weeks. I don't know. We'll see.
You think that he sees the situation evolving how it is?
Surely Pedro Martins has to see the writing on the wall, right, guys? Well, he's not staying another year. Let's be honest, right? This best case scenario, he leaves next year. So he's not their long-term choice. He's not there for a long-term project. It's strange. Strange.
I don't know, guys. What do you think? Like, whoever's still following, leave us a comment after we're done in the comments box. Roman, thanks, mate, for joining us all the way.
Thank you, guys. Let's see what the next week is gonna bring to us. I stick with Lambro's opinion. I think Martin's. I'm not sure if he's gonna leave or not, but I think it's under question now. More, like much more than ever before.
Yeah.
Maybe the key is that it's a question now in his mind what's going on, and that he isn't 100% safe. But I think if Karembe is still around, he does have some protection.
That's the next shoe to drop. That's not. I'm so confused. You know, talk about some of the reporting being done in Greece is really poor. There's not questions like this. The Italians don't know Karembe. They don't know his situation. But at Olympiacos, they should be seeing that two new heads. Let's be honest. The heads of Olympiacos backroom staff in the past year were Karembe, Modesto. So now we have two Italians coming in. So where does that leave Modesto? Third fiddle with these guys? The first question...
You mean Karembe?
Karembe, yeah, excuse me. The first question that comes to my head is what happens with Karembe? The Olympiacos reporters go, we don't know, we didn't ask, it's not clear. Torosidis as well. I think Torosidis actually is in good because I think he played with the Sanctis and he's known to them for his time in Italy. But all of this to say, like, let's fucking see. Let's see. We're going to be covering this closely and see.
As Danos says, maybe these changes will make the difference.
Yeah.
Very good.
Let's see.
Roman, Kalinichta, we say good night to you.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe.
Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
There we have it.
Yeah, that's the episode. It's a big day for Olympiacos. I think the biggest day. It's been years, Costa. Like I was talking with you. I don't think I've seen a day like this in the club in a while. Like where so many developments were happening and left, right, you had no idea. We woke up this morning and we had a certain idea something was happening. But now the club has completely changed from where it was 24 hours ago. Can we say that? Like things where Olympiacos was Saturday morning, let's say, at least in our heads, what we saw is completely different than where we're standing. Most people, like me, remember the name Morgan De Sanctis as that goalkeeper who played for Roma and Juve back in the day. And now he's going to play a major role in forming Olympiacos for the next few years. So let's see. It's changed the club massively. Good or bad, we're going to see.
Let's see. Well, tomorrow, guys, as well, there is going to be a press conference at Olympiacos where they will be presenting the season tickets for next year. So that will be opportunity for press to ask questions. I don't know if they'll restrict the questions to questions about the season tickets, but there are surely a lot of journalists out there and fans, not only journalists, of course, more importantly, fans with a lot of questions about what is going to be happening at Olympiacos in the coming days, weeks, and months. Just a reminder before we close up, next week, Tuesday, the team starts pre-season in Greece before they head off to Austria. I believe it's on the 22nd of June. So I think it's going to be fast and furious in the coming days, guys. We're going to have to keep up.
Yeah,
we will do.
I'm supposed to write a thesis, man. I was supposed to write my thesis today, and meanwhile, I was making graphics and messaging people, texting people. So crazy day. Tomorrow, I'm gonna have to work. So we'll see.
We'll keep you guys updated. As I said before, please, guys, take 2 seconds right now to hit that like button. If you're listening to me, if you're watching, please hit the like button on Facebook, on YouTube. It really helps to disseminate the episode widely and give us a comment on the video, on the episode video on YouTube. That also helps too. And if you're listening for the first time and you like what you heard, please subscribe. More content coming, fast and furious summer. The one thing I did say, Labro, when this season ended is that I think this is going to be the most interesting summer preseason period that we've ever witnessed.
Yeah,
and
the first summer that Gate 7 International is there and making a difference. So
there we go, guys. Wherever you are, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We're Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans. See you next time, guys.
Mágico, o fubá, gente,